Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having an awesome day. This is Danielle and Vita from MD Out Loud, and we're talking about why and how ADHD coaching changes everything. We decided to do something a little different today and just start sharing um, some of the case studies and successes that we get to experience with our clients as coaches. So, um, right now we're in a really unique area of getting to work with some really we've got some amazing clients, and
Yeah.
I've been doing this really long time, so obviously I have a bazillion case studies, and I'm actually starting to organize my case studies, and I'm having a hard time because it's overwhelming. So understanding that there can be success in life. I think that's one of the biggest things I hear from talking to a neurodivergent person is I've hired a therapist before and they haven't helped me with my life. I've
Yeah.
hired a coach before and they haven't been able to help. I've read this self-help book or this self-help book or bought that planner or and it doesn't help. Nothing is ever going to help.
No. And I mean, I have clients that just in the last year, it's like I wish I had known about this before therapy. But I'm not saying anything to give therapists a bad rap at all because they are serving two completely different needs, two completely separate niches, right? But my client was like, "This is the most therapeutic relationship I've ever had." But that's why if you have the luxury of having a therapist and a coach, it's really great to have those at the same time because they serve different purposes. But if all you've ever had is a therapist and you've never had a coach, then they can help you because they are helping you take actionable steps.
So I think so. Where are some differences that you have from talking? And I'm yes, obviously I'm a therapist and a coach, but I focus on coaching, and I have for too long to talk about the other side. But for talking to clients, what is some of the main differences between them working with a therapist and working with you as a coach?
Okay. So I always explain it to people as so a coach, and think about it in sports because everybody can wrap their mind around that reframe. So, coach is going to teach you how to shoot a layup, and then you're going to practice the layup, and then you're going to go put it into practice into a game, and then you're going to come back and talk about it. Like, so how are you able to put it into practice in the game? And we're going to talk about that. A therapist is going to talk to you about, like, especially a sports therapist is going to talk to you about, like, okay, well, you are afraid of success, so you are not hitting your layup. They're not going to talk to you about the fundamentals of shooting the layup. So coaches are more fundamental task based, um, on things that have to do with your neurodivergency. Like ADHD coaches are helping you accomplish tasks, working with your ADHD symptoms. If you are dyslexic, we are working with and around your learning disability. If you are autistic, we might be working with your sensory issues. So I always tell people that coaching is, I don't want to say it's less to do with the why. I think it's less to do with emotional trauma, like from your life growing up, and more to do with actionable steps about, okay, we have horrible time management. That's fine. Let's work on making our time management better. So that's why I think it's super therapeutic for people because these are pain points in their life and we're giving them relief on those pain points immediately or within weeks or within, so it feels like it's moving the needle further.
Yeah, when you're working on trauma and stuff with clients or with a therapist, and I've talked to my clients about this, they're working on trauma and stuff. That's a long term, really deep, exhausting process to work with a therapist.
Right.
It is extremely needed because most of us have so much trauma and all of that we need that. But that is a very separate compartment of I'm overwhelmed today. So why are you overwhelmed today? Well, my hair is bothering me. We just
Yeah.
had that. Vida and I are having this conversation. And well, why is your hair bothering you? Well, XYZ. Okay, let's solve that problem right now. I'm
Yeah.
hungry. Okay, but I don't know what to make myself eat. Okay, so let's have that discussion right now. take your phone with you. Let's go to the kitchen and
Right.
I'll help you make your food. I'll work with you and I'll walk you through that of I'm exhausted. So why are you tired? Well, I'm having a really hard time sleeping lately. Okay, let's talk about a bedtime routine. And they're more actionable, obtainable action, like easy obtainable action steps that are remove the decision fatigue, remove the overwhelm, remove the sensory overwhelm, whatever it
Mhm.
is, that we as coaches attack that as a very, very different thing. We're a therapist. And I will say this as somebody who is working with a therapist herself, I come to my therapist and say, I'm exhausted. What thoughts come to mind when you're really tired and why you're having a hard time? Like we talk about the thought patterns behind it, but not actionable ways to overcome that sleep issue. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to attack that thought pattern issue. I mean, we might talk about that a little bit, but we're more worried about the actionable steps you can take to get you the sleep that you need so you can deal with that emotional overwhelm.
Right. So therapy is more cerebral and coaching is more actionable, at least in the short term. Like that's kind of a simplified explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And I see productivity increase in my clients based on the thing actionable steps, accountability, and staying plugged into the um, thing that's going on. So we're helping you be mindful. Like case study, I've had several couples. One has ADHD, one does not. And one of the things that we work on is having a morning meeting. They're already sitting down to have coffee or breakfast or whatever anyway. But every morning they take 5 minutes and it's like, this is on my schedule today. And then this is on your partner's schedule today. And
Mm-hmm.
just that 5 minute check in of this is what my day looks like helps them get into a mindset where they both understand what's on their schedule and then they can help each other be accountable. And what turned out for one client was she was overbooked. Her husband realized she was overbooked. So as he was going through his day, when he found free time, he would message her and he'd be like, "Hey, I know you have to go to the pharmacy. Have you been able to stop by yet?" She'd be like, "Oh no, I hadn't got there yet. I'm right there by it. Let me pick that up." So he was able to pick some stuff up from her that he didn't realize she was struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
But it was through it was such a easy, tiny fix. 5 minutes every morning. Tell your partner about your day.
Absolutely. And it helps so much having those check-in points. And I call those obtainable action points. So what's obtainable for you as a unit and whoever you're living with? Do you have a roommate? Are you living
Right.
with your sister? Are you living with your parents? Are you living with your spouse, partner, whatever? Are you living with your 15-year-old? Your 15-year-old, believe it or not, can help be part of that
Yes.
increasing your overwhelm process. And they should be. Teach them how to adult now.
And they like it. Kids always like it when you give them a job. Now, I'm not saying like they like it when you tell them to clean their room, but if you're giving them the job about helping you be accountable, oh, they love to remind us of things that we need to do.
My son at 3 and 4 years old thought it was so awesome when I would say, remind mommy to. My 3 year old thought it was the greatest thing ever. Now, my son is now 27, and I still text him sometimes. And can you please remind me to do, because my son is autistic and he remembers every single thing and he follows a set of rules. So if I tell him, can you remind me by Thursday to do this or at 2 p.m. to do this, you better believe he's going to remind me at that exact date and time.
Yeah.
I can set myself 5,000 timers and I won't remember to do that thing. He's going to remind me, and that is better for me to have that outside input to get the thing done. Again, talking to my husband, all of those things. So I think one of my best client stories of success in working with me, she'd been working with a therapist. She still works with a therapist, but she had been working with a therapist for 2 years, was deeply in debt, was about to lose her job, and was having to move into a sharing an apartment situation with a stranger because she couldn't afford her apartment by herself anymore. She couldn't, and she was falling apart. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to do it. A year later, she got a promotion at work, same job she was about to lose, a promotion at work. and she bought a house.
Yeah.
I worked with her to help her get out of debt, create a budget, stay on the budget. We checked in daily about her tasks for work, and we had multiple check-in points throughout the day. And she created accommodations for herself with her job rather than going to her boss, because she wasn't comfortable with that.
Right.
And we created accommodations for her that she could do herself. And she moved into her own house a month ago or 2 months ago.
That's wonderful.
And clients like that, her productivity, she's getting things done. She has a set of things that have to be done by the end of the month every single month, and she was waiting until the last week of the month to do these like 80 tasks, and now she's doing them week to week, so that at the end of the month, this last month, she only had 3 tasks left over that she had to do the last week of the month instead of 80.
Shit. That's amazing, right? Because someone has helped you work through it and stay plugged into the process. Because what happens, at least for me, and this is with my own neurodivergent tendencies, I get overwhelmed. I step out of the process because I'm overwhelmed. And that's when I squirrel, right? That's when I'm like, oh, I'm just going to sit down for 15 minutes and read a book. And I'll kind of come back to my mind 3 days later and I've read 30 books because it's like high level procrastination, right? It's escapism. It is overwhelm. It's this, that, and the other, but I'm not plugged into my daily process, which we know as neurodivergent people, when you do that and then you come back to your process, it's overwhelming because you are behind. But my big thing is if you can accomplish 3 tasks a day, it doesn't matter how big or how small, if you are consistently accomplishing 3 tasks a day, it keeps the pile down and you're more productive than like most people in the world because they're not accomplishing 3 tasks a day. So it's just working with the ebb and flow of your brain, and a coach can help you do that.
Mm-hmm. It's understanding, working with an ADHD coach. 99% of the ADHD coaches out there, at least on our team, 100% of us are ADHD ourselves, so we understand at every level. So you're not just getting somebody who's learned how to help you. We know how to help you because we have actionable experience. Because again, if you meet one neurodivergent person, you know one. So you have all of our training, and you have the fact that we live in that brain every single day.
Right. And that, that's a game changer for a lot of people.
Yep.
It's like right now, it's like, and we do it for each other, right? It's like logging in, we have accountability meetings every morning at 7. And it is just, what are your priorities this morning? And people attend because they need that, like, it's like the morning meeting with the couple, right? What is on your agenda today? What are you accomplishing?
So what are you doing? How are you doing? How are you going to do it? How are you moving ahead? And I just ask, what's the plans for today? How can I help support you? End of story. It's a 15-minute call. We have a group that just meets for 15 minutes, discusses those things, and then takes action. And almost we've realized that they are increasing their productivity by a minimum of 75% just by that quick 15-minute meeting every morning.
It's huge.
It's huge, and it works so well for my brain too. I love that I get to do these things for our community and for the people that we work with, but they work so well for me too. And I often forget that by doing this for my clients, I'm helping my own brain so often.
Well, and I think that's with a lot of coaches. I think you'll find like they get into it because they were trying to find things to help themselves. And then we become experts because it was our hyper focus, and then we can help other people do it. But neurodivergents work better as a collective group.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Every single time. It's that building that community piece. So how does this work when we work with corporate clients? I'm going to tell you, every one of those clients that I mentioned case studies for, we're talking about what they did at work and how their work is going better and stuff. That's exactly how we work with that. And we even, like, I work with managers and teach them how to adapt to
manage their team.
neurodivergent teams, and often they see, and like they start doing it for the whole entire team, not just the neurodivergence on their team, and they see an increase in productivity and revenue increase. I think the best one I got, and I'm just sharing you my best stories because I have 25
Yeah.
but I have one client who I came in and I taught the whole entire management team how to deal with their sales team, because sales teams, if you have salespeople, at least 75%, if not a whole 100, are neurodivergent. That's why they do sales, because it offers them a variety of things to talk about and do, and high energy and all of those things. And we created some things for them, and then they rolled it over to their admin team for the sales team, who is not neurodivergent. And they went from, they were $500 million a year in revenue. They tripled their revenue by supporting their ADHD team.
That's amazing.
Their revenue just by want to know what they changed. They changed how they did agenda for meetings. They changed how they gave instructions, and they changed how they checked in with their members of their team. That's it. 3 things. And they cost the company, for a bottom line, dollars for support systems and all that stuff, 0 money.
That's the thing about when we do corporate consulting. A lot of them are really hesitant to hire people for corporate consulting because they think the things I'm going to come in and say are like, well, you're going to have to buy this $1 million program, this hundreds of that. Like, no, that's not. I can give you 5 accommodations that you can do today that are free. Like, let's start with the free ones. And then as we go up, depending on the needs of your team, like, trust me, we are used to doing more with less. So we're always going to start with the free accommodations. And then we're going to work up to things that you need that cost money. But we're not there to like bankrupt you. We're there to teach you to like, hey, allow your people to wear noise canceling headphones. You know, like,
we didn't say buy them noise canceling headphones. They've already owned them.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive things I've ever told a corporate team to do, if they have server, like, what are they called? Cubicle farms. Like, you've got a huge room with a lot of cubicles in them, is change the light bulbs to LED light bulbs.
Right.
That was the most expensive accommodation I gave a company. Change to LED light bulbs. Because they had a group of people who were refusing to come to the office and were working at home and were working in the conference room. There was one person who was working under their desk to get away from the fluorescent lights.
Well, and that is like, so if you know that moving forward, you can always have those kinds of lights. There's also things that, you know, as a teacher, there are tons of things that special education teachers do in their classroom that are free, cheap, and easy because teachers are super underfunded. But when you start telling these tricks to corporate entities, they're like, we can do that. And I'm like, yes. So if you can't change your lights, special education teachers will take a blue film or a blue piece of material and they'll Velcro it to not all the lights, but some of the lights. And it increases productivity because the lights are not as harsh. So those are things that are cheap, free, and easy that people can do. So corporate consulting, don't be afraid of hiring neurodivergent coaches to come in and help you manage your team. It is something that's going to pay dividends very quickly.
And again, it's not just because you're creating accommodations for those few people that might have help. It's because it helps everyone.
It does help everyone.
There's scientific fact that fluorescent lighting increases frustration for even a regular neurotypical brain. By putting those blue films over, changing to LED lights, you're decreasing their frustration and overwhelm. There are so many things, and I think that's one of the biggest mindset changes that I see that needs to happen in a lot of corporate environments. Well, I can't just make changes for one person. No, we're not telling you to make changes for one person. We're telling you to make changes for your whole entire environment, because it's going to increase everyone's bottom line, everyone's focus.
And here's the thing, and we can help you through Dr. Jessica Hickstead's WIDE survey that she does, because Okay, so when you put these accommodations in place, you are helping your known neurodivergence, but you're also helping your unknown neurodivergence, your undiagnosed neurodivergence, and then your neurotypical people, because everybody needs help being productive. But Jessica's wide survey helps companies identify the percentage of neurodivergent people on their staff, not the specific neurodivergent people, just the percentage that you're working with. So if you know that 50% of your staff is neurodivergent, you can accommodate and justify that you're making these accommodations for your staff.
Well, and it also recognizes the types of accommodation, support, whatever that your staff as a whole needs, not your
Right.
neurotypical staff, not your neurodivergent staff, your staff as a whole. Do they need LED lights? Do they need better agenda software? Do they
Right.
need someone to set a timer in the office to remind them to take a lunch? Do they
Right.
need a water cooler on their floor and not across the hall? I mean, just, and these are stupid things that I don't think I've ever suggested moving a water cooler, but still, there are things that you need to know if you want to increase the intelligence and the productivity and the growth of your business. These are all of these things, this wide survey and other things are things that will absolutely help you do that without your employees feeling unsafe.
Outed.
Mm-hmm.
Because people want to be safe, seen, and heard. They want to feel safe enough that they can come tell you when they're having an issue or a problem. And that is something that we do poorly in corporate America. We do not make our employees feel safe.
Absolutely. So how can you make your employees feel safe, seen, heard to increase, and this is all about increasing your bottom line.
Right.
It's not for some stupid thing that you're like, that is not helpful to me as a business. We want to increase the revenue. We want to increase your
Mm-hmm.
revenue. We want to see you increase your productivity. We want to see you increase employee retention. Those are all things that are very hard for employers to have right now. Employee retention is at an all-time low. And you're losing your workforce, your main workforce, the boomers and the Gen X are starting to get ready to retire.
Retire.
So how are you going to make sure that you are keeping your business earning money over the next 5 years when 6.5 million people retire?
Yeah.
6.5 million people are going to be leaving the workforce over the next 5 years. Six and
Well,
a half
and then
people.
it's about being able to evolve, evolve as a company, evolve as employees. So as you're hiring these younger people, many of them who are more aware of their neurodivergent needs, you're going to have to accommodate them. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're set up to do it in the beginning, it makes life much easier and less costly.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And Jessica software also helps identify the strengths and weaknesses to identify your educational highlights that you need to do. It also
Right.
identifies your productivity highlights that you need to either focus on or not focus on. I find a lot of companies they think that they're putting the right focus on a certain area in their business, and they're missing the target because it's not quite what the employees need. It might be partway there, but it's not quite where somebody needs it in order to reach the end goal that they did this thing for.
Right. And there's nothing worse than spending a ton of time and money fishing in the wrong hole.
And there's things out there, like I know companies use things like the Calm app. They offer it to their employees, or a weight loss app. They offer gym memberships and things like that. And while those can be very, very helpful and they're awesome, they often aren't paired or they aren't enough.
Yeah.
Your team members need more to support their habits of going to the gym. It's not just about going to the gym. And yes, you've given them the ability to go to the gym and get discounts on gym memberships and all of these things, but they aren't going because they're overwhelmed. they're chronically exhausted, they don't have good self-care habits, and that's where a coach, even if your team members aren't neurodivergent, just bringing in health and wellness coaches to work with them, even for just 90 days or something like that, will increase better habits for their self-care. If your employees have better self-care habits, they're going to be better employees.
Yeah.
And most companies know this, but they're only giving them a part of the puzzle. They're not giving them the full all of the pieces of the puzzle that they need to make those changes and to be able to do those things.
We see it in education all the time. They tell teachers to, well, you need to take time and practice good self-care. But because of the way the education system is set up, if a teacher takes a day off for self-care, then people are like, oh my gosh, you're taking a day off. So it's, you have to be really mindful of what you want and what is your long-term goal as an employee, as a company, and we can help you get there. But sometimes it takes a mindset shift.
Well, and it usually takes somebody's outside eyes to come in and take a look at everything. And that's why we have the wide survey. And that's why Jessica has built this survey. She's built this survey to help us identify strengths and weaknesses, to help us reveal the intent to disclose invisible disabilities so that we can make sure employees feel safe, seen, and heard. If they feel safe, seen, and heard, then they're more likely to be productive. And I will tell you that a neurodivergent employee is, and I'm going to talk about autism, ADHD, being profoundly deaf, having learning disabilities. If you make that particular area, and this works for your non-neurodivergent employees too, if everyone feels safe, seen, and heard, like they can be their best selves, they will have the ultimate amount of loyalty for you and your business, and they will go that extra mile. Right now, we see this stuff all over TikTok videos and reels and all of the jokes in the news about Gen Z. They won't come to work. They're quiet quitting. They're only working to their pay level. They're only working to what they're worth, whatever. I mean, we see all these stupid things, but they're true. There's a reason why all those TikToks and news articles and things are out there. You want to make your employees work amazingly hard for you and go make them safe.
Yep.
Create healthy structure for your team.
Because here's the thing, when you create a good work environment, people are super loyal to you, and you do not have trouble hiring people because everybody wants to work at your company.
Mm-hmm. And very, very few employers can say that right now. Most people are having a hard time finding good staff. You're overworking your current staff. They're burning out, they're quitting, and you can't find replacements.
Right.
And again, 6 million people are leaving the workforce over the next 5 years. They're retiring. They're done. And then you have Gen Z, Gen X, Alpha, whatever they are, who are refusing to work for you because they don't feel safe, seen, and heard. So you have a combination. You've got this huge wave coming that you're going to have a hard time recovering from if you don't get ahead of it now. And that's why ADHD coaching, why neurodivergent coaching, why consulting and bringing a team like mine in to do the workplace intelligence survey and do labor intelligence and look at your company as a whole to create better systems for everyone. And again, most of them cost little to no money, will make you stand out among the crowd in your industries.
Yeah.
Because so few companies are willing to actually invest in these things right now.
Well, and then other corporations are going to be like, how did you do it?
Mm-hmm. How did you do it? How can we fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And again, hiring.
We can totally help you with that.
We can help you with all of those pieces. I hope you have an amazing day. If you have questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to answer them. If you are a neurodivergent employee and want to help us get in contact with your company to help you be your best self at work, let us know. We are absolutely here for you. And we have so many different packages from $19 a month all the way up to $250 a month. So come reach out to us. We are here to help. We are here to change how neurodivergence works in the workforce. Have an amazing day, everyone.